I can't believe I'm even making this video right now. Like, truthfully, I didn't think I would be talking about this anytime soon. I didn't think this was going to be a thing. This has all been something that's been happening so fast. I literally, a few days ago actually, is when I first heard the rumor that we might be getting, this game. And I don't know, it was something that was just like, there's so much other things I've been thinking about lately that when you threw this into the equation, it didn't make sense. You know, it didn't click. It felt weird. But of course, I am talking about the fact that we are getting a brand new Spyro the Dragon game. Again, even saying that out loud doesn't sound real. It just sounds like nonsense. It sounds like some hypothetical scenario I would make up in my head when I'm bored and have nothing else to think about, or like me planning what I want. Like yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, Spyro is one of those franchises where I feel like it's done well enough, it has enough of a legacy to the point where, like, yeah, getting a new game does make sense, but Spyro just hasn't been that fortunate, you know? I don't think it's ever been the same level of success as Crash, unfortunately. I think Crash has always kind of beat Spyro out just a little bit. Even if you want to compare the two companies together, I still do think Crash probably has done better overall. I like Crash Bandicoot. I was never really huge into the games, though. They were just a little too hard for me personally. And I didn't grow up with the original Crash games. You should know by now how much of a Spyro fan I am, if my background wasn't obvious enough, but in case you don't know, I have been a massive Spyro fan for most of my life. That being said, I actually haven't played most of the games. I grew up playing 2. 2 is my song. It's my favorite game of all time. And it's silly to say that because it's technically speaking not the greatest game ever, but it's a game that I have such a personal, deep attachment to that I can play at any time. Like, I know where everything is. It's one of those experiences that just feels so genuine to me. And it's something that I look back on. The music is so nostalgic. There's a reason why it's my favorite game, right? Just put it simply, that's why it's my favorite. I played a lot of 1, and I actually didn't play 3 until like 2019, like right before or 2018, 2019, I got it on eBay, like way later. I always wanted to play 3 growing up, but I just never had access to it. I love those games, I really do. There's something really charming, there's something really, really meaningful about those games that really just hit me right here in the heart. Again, they are so important to me. The character of Spyro is so important to me. The world, the iconography, you know, it all means so much. It's so important. Anyone who's been watching my stuff for years knows that I've like streamed and played Reignited Trilogy a billion times. Like, that game, when Reignited Trilogy was coming out, that was the most exciting thing going on in my life. That was all I could think about. Literally, Bionicle coming back, I was like on the same wavelength as that game, where every piece of news dropped, I was eating it up. I was literally just addicted to everything about that game, and I have a feeling it's gonna be the exact same way again for this game. I'm a grown man, but I'm still up to my old shit, which is just like, you know, it is what it is, right? We need to talk about the game itself. I'm gonna have a lot of thoughts, and they're all gonna be very jumbled. I've had most of the day to think about it, though, which is nice. This video might be out like a day later or whatever, whenever I get the chance to work on it. But I am recording this the day that the game came to be, to me, anyways. So I'm just gonna kind of ramble off some thoughts that I have on the little teaser trailer that we got, and just kind of go off on my opinion. You know, I'm not like the #1 Spyro fan in the world, you know. There are other people who are bigger fans than me. There's people who cried when they watched the trailer. I didn't cry, you know. But I'm also not very in touch with my emotions. Maybe that's it too. I mean, I imagine just like a roller coaster across my head that's just going. That's how my brain is right now. It just won't stop thinking about this damn game. So as I was kind of like alluding to, I first heard about this game. I remember I was just on Google a couple days ago, and sometimes they'll recommend articles, and there was this one article talking about how a new Spyro game might be coming out. Now, I've been hearing about a new Spyro game for years, so that wasn't like a surprise, or that wasn't like a, oh, I don't want to get my hopes up, you know. But I checked out the article, and I kind of gave it a thought, but I was kind of like, probably nothing will happen out of this, or we won't see this for a while, right? They mentioned it was the same people or the same guy who like revealed that we got the Rayman game, like leaked the Rayman game, so I don't know. I didn't really give it too much thought. But then there was a part of that article that said, oh, it might be revealed during an Xbox Game Fest or something like that. And I was like, okay, I'll keep it in mind. There was a lot of gaming news in general going on right now. There's a shit ton of announcements happening. This trailer got sent to me by my sibling, actually, who messaged me on Discord and was just losing their mind. And I was just like, yeah, that's, and when I saw it, it was this feeling of like your heart sinking, but it wasn't like a bad heart sink. It was like a, oh, it's happening. Oh, it's happening. It's a very similar feeling I got recently when I first saw the Marvel Legends Rivals tease. Very similar feeling to that. But this was almost more existential. This almost made me like, this was like the Star-Lord Guardians of the Galaxy moment where it was like, oh, what? And then I didn't watch it right away because I had to go home. I had to go home and like wait and like set up. I did do a reaction. I'm not gonna post it because it was kind of lame. I don't react to things very well. It was also mostly a trailer breakdown. It was a reaction to a 1-minute teaser that lasted 13 minutes, just to give you the context of that. I have so many thoughts, and I'm gonna be honest, the first time I watched the trailer, I was a little worried. Now, when I say worried, I don't necessarily mean like I thought the game looked bad. Here's the thing. First of all, the cinematic trailer, gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful. Toys for Bob has such a fun, creative art style, and apparently they're independent now. They're not, although they do say that this is also with Activision, so I wonder if it's more like a licensing thing. Like Activision, they're not working with Activision. Activision is just licensing the game because I think Activision owns Spyro. I think that's what's happening because they keep referencing the fact that Toys for Bob is independent now. And it's coming out next year, by the way, 2027. I need to point that out. Spring, which is like, all things considered, not too long of a wait. Obviously, it will still be a decent wait, but like, I'm not mad about it. If they didn't give us a date, if they were just like 2027, then I'd be a little bit more like, And look, games get delayed, so it might come out in like October. I don't know, right? It's too early to say. Gorgeous trailer. It looks great. There's like a good amount, there's like really good like production design, and there's like this recurring theme that they keep playing, which I really like. It's very like unlike anything we've heard from Spyro, which is good. I think people were saying, oh, you need to bring back Stuart Copeland. I don't think you do. I think you could probably just get the guy who did the music for Reignited, who kind of gave it a very different spin. And look, I love Stuart Copeland's music. I mean, it's literally what you're listening to right now, probably. But like, it's okay to try different things, especially for this game, which seems, based on this trailer, the tone does seem a little bit darker. Now, I'm not saying dark like, oh, Spyro's gonna bleed and say shit. Like, he's not, that's not what I mean. I'm just saying, like, the original tone of the original trilogy, plus, like, even Reignited, added to it a little bit. It's very cartoony, very, like, Saturday morning cartoon sort of vibes, you know? It's very humor-filled game. And I'm not saying that this game isn't going to have that, but the tone of this trailer, you know, and like, even think about the villains for the last 3 Spyro games. You've got Nasty Nork, who's just a big dumb idiot who only wants to enslave all the dragons because they call him ugly on live TV. Like, that's a cartoon plot. Or Ripto, who's just a narcissistic little freak who just hates dragons for no discernible reason. He just hates them. And then also the Sorceress, who just hates dragons. Like, these are not deep characters. These are not interesting characters, but they work for the plot of the games. You know, they're very silly. It's cartoon, right? It's cartoony. This villain does seem a little darker. His design seems a little, I mean, we haven't actually seen what the villain looks like, but he's got this cool looking staff and this gross claw, almost kind of dark crystal-y. I kind of mess with it. We see some floating island shit with like chains, and by the way, that is just already, like, that's an awesome visual. So like, I'm there for it. So yeah, I like the tone shift. I think that's a really good idea. This design for Spyro is clearly an evolution of the Reignited Trilogy design. There are slight tweaks to like his face and stuff like that. His wings are a bit larger. Obviously the like fidelity of like, I'm not even sure if I'm using that word correctly, but like the way that he looks with like the graphics and everything looks very good here. And is slightly different too. Obviously, like Spyro's eyes look different. Like there's little noticeable things. It's clearly an upgrade in terms of like visuals. Sometimes that does result in him looking a little odd. And it's mostly just me getting used to it. Also, this is just from one trailer and a little bit of gameplay, so we don't actually have like a full look at how the character really looks. I will say there is one change that I'm very on the fence about, and that is his hair. Okay, so Spyro has always had this spike mohawk thing. You know, it was very fitting for the 90s. It gave him a nice attitude. I've always liked it. But it was clearly meant to be like frills, like on like a lizard or something. Like they're not like, you know, they're spikes. They're not anything else. The very first thing I noticed, even before the trailer, because the trailer had this like crop shot of Spyro like this, where his face was kind of like, so like you couldn't see the rest of him. And one of the first things I noticed is first of all, and you can see from the logo too, it's hanging down. The front piece it goes a little farther and it hangs down. I get what they're trying to do. It's almost like he's more youthful. I don't know if I like it. It's just a very strange decision. And then also it does appear to look like hair now, which that's the biggest thing that throws me off, because that was never hair. That was never supposed to be hair. I mean, you could ask the frickin' Ted Price of Insomniac, hey, was this hair? And he would be like, yeah, it's hair. And again, I guess it was supposed to represent hair, like it was supposed to be a mohawk anyway, so I guess it's kind of hair, but also at the same time, I don't like it actually being hair, you know what I mean? That is such a dumb, shitty nitpick that nobody cares about, but you have to understand this is the type of dumb shit that I think about. And so I'm not 100% sold on that yet. Not a deal breaker at all. I'm not gonna boycott the game or anything. I'm not gonna say this is the worst Spyro design. No, we've had much worse. Skylander's Spyro exists. This ugly, disgusting, Frenchy looking freak. Yeah, definitely not the worst. You know, it's just, it's an adjustment. It very clearly is an evolution of the Reignited Trilogy design. It's almost like he's slightly older too. Because again, his features are slightly bigger, like his wings being bigger is a big noticeable thing. That's actually very cool. I really like that. No Sparks in this trailer, as far as I'm remembering. He might have been in the gameplay section, now that I think about it. I'm just now realizing I don't remember seeing Sparks in this entire trailer. That has me kind of worried. That's the only thing where I'm like, oh, you're not cutting my boy Sparks out. You're not doing this. You're not changing that. He is a core character. He is part of the reason why the Spyro games are so special is because of that health system. Like, nobody does that either. That's a very unique health system, especially for Spyro. So please don't do anything to Sparks. Please just leave him in there. I'm a little now. I gotta say, that's my only concern. Where the hell Sparks? Am I gonna have to start putting out the wanted posters? The missing poster, not the wanted poster. Sparks is not wanted. Well, he's wanted by me. I want him personally. So nitpicking about Spyro's design aside, again, not the end of the world. It looks pretty good so far, and I really like it. Again, this trailer is just gorgeous. And then we do see gameplay. We get to see a little bit of gameplay, and this is what actually really worried me the most. This was what kind of scared me at first, because in the trailer itself, there's a lot of emphasis on flight and flying. And then we get the gameplay segment, and it is like a 10-second, maybe less segment of Spyro flying. He like shoots some fire at a campfire, and like the gust of wind makes him go up, which by the way, that's really creative. And then he's like up in the air, and there's rings in the air, and he's like shooting. it looked very much like a Panzer Dragoon kind of game, or like a Star Fox like rail shooter, and I went, oh no, is Spyro just becoming a rail shooter? That's immediately where my thoughts went, because that's the first gameplay you show. Wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world if you wanted to genre shift, but then also at the same time, to go like 8 years without a Spyro game and then get one like that's a little, it would have been a kind of a turn off for me, because that's, I'm gonna be so for real, the Speedway sections were actually for a long time my least favorite parts of the original Spyro games. I'm sorry, and some people are like, I love the Speedway sections. I never did as a kid. I always thought they were too hard. I thought they were annoying. I thought they were vague. I didn't like them at all. I've grown up. I have come to really appreciate them now. I do really like them now, but I also really wouldn't care for a whole Spyro game that is just Speedway sections or just flying around. So they're making a lot of emphasis on flying, and that's what made me realize the reason why they're doing that is because the original trilogy wasn't about a flying dragon. It was about a dragon who could fly in some stages, but mostly just glided. That's what he did. They are clearly very much like, well, how do we evolve Spyro? Well, he's a dragon. Let him fly. And I think that's really smart. I think that's really creative. I think that shows a general like understanding that they need to step up, which is really cool. And I like that. I like that change. I'm a little concerned for like how platforming stuff is going to look. Spyro's not known for being the most complicated platform or anything, but part of the challenge of the old Spyro games was like, hey, you'd be in this area and you'd have to glide from one area to another and you'd have to do this. That's gonna kind of be gone because it seems like you can just fly whenever you want. So you can just fly over the obstacle. So I'm curious. I'm very curious to know how that will work. The game will obviously be designed around the flying. They kept saying it was a gimmick. And I don't think they meant it obviously wasn't meant in a bad way. It's just like, that's the gimmick of this game, which is really cool, by the way. That's a great, again, I am 100% sold on the flying, as long as it's not just the main focus of the game. Or at least if it's not like, if you can play the game as a normal Spyro game too. I'm not saying like exclusively never be able to fly. Like obviously I'm gonna love to fly everywhere. But like I'm saying, I hope that he controls like Spyro. I hope he feels like Spyro, you know? I did watch an interview with the creators, and they are very clearly emphasizing Spyro's movement, and they mentioned like that they really wanted him to feel good. And I'll be honest, in Reignited, he feels pretty great to control. He feels his movements really solid. I like the rolls that you can do. I like his charge, his jumps, everything feels good. The gliding, it all feels great in Reignited. So I hope it's a natural evolution of that. Again, now you're adding flying to the mix. It actually does sort of remind me of how in, what was it called? Spyro, I don't remember what it was called. It was the third like Elijah Wood game. It was Dawn of the Dragon, right? Or is that wrong? I always get the titles mixed up. I'm trying to remember what the name of the final Elijah Wood Spyro game was. Him and Cinder are adults. That one had a flying mechanic where you could basically just pick up and fly. I thought that was really fun. There wasn't really too much to do with it. I never beat that game fully, so I don't know. Maybe there's more involved flying sections. But I do remember if you were like in the open world or like semi-open world, you could just like pick yourself up and start flying. And that was kind of cool. I kind of like that. So that does kind of remind me of this a little bit, which is interesting. Again, this is really the first time they're really gonna focus on Spyro being able to fly, and it's really damn cool. That's a really fun mechanic, and that's just something that I feel like they could do a lot with. It's also really good to hear Tom Kenny back, though I will also admit, like this Stuart Copeland argument, I would have actually been fine with that with a new voice actor, because don't get me wrong, I like Tom Kenny a lot. Obviously, he is the voice of Spyro 2 Spyro and beyond, and I do love Tom Kenny, but if I'm being perfectly honest, his performance in Reignited Trilogy was a little exaggerated. Like, I love his performance in Spyro 2 specific. This is such a dumb, like, specific, like, child brain thing that I've been thinking about for freaking 20 years of my life. But, like, his performance in the original, like, Spyro 2 is so, like, he's just so, like, wholesome. And yeah, he's a bit of an ass when he can be, but, like, he's just a good dude, you know? Spyro 3 kind of ruins him a little bit. It kind of makes him more of an asshole. And he's quite an asshole in Spyro 3 as far as I remember. But then Reignited, they just kind of meshed his personality into one. And so again, he's very like in Spyro 2, he'd be like, "Hi, I'm Spyro. What's going on?" In Spyro 2, he's like, "Hi, I'm Spyro. What's going on?" Like, it's very over the top, and like, it's like, okay, you know? Again, Tom Kenny does a great job, and I'm more than happy to have him back. It's just another dumb nitpick, but I would have been okay with another voice actor. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't have been like crying. Now, to be fair, if he was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" I probably would have been like, "Whoa, hold on a minute, hold on a minute." Like, so I will say the fan response to this has been freaking awesome. Seeing people so happy to see Spyro again is like, it's been a long time, man. Reignited was the only thing we really had. I guess he was playable in like Crash Team Racing, and maybe he appeared in the mobile game or something, but Spyro's back. Spyro didn't get the treatment that Crash got. Crash got what? The remake, the freaking the trilogy remake, the racing game remake, the Crash 4, he got the weird multiplayer game nobody played, so Crash was doing good. Crash was eating well, and although the sales weren't the best necessarily, like I said, nobody played that multiplayer game, he still had a pretty damn good run. There was a canceled Crash and Spyro like kind of crossover thing planned, and that sounded amazing. If y'all put Crash in here just for like a level, or like as a NPC who like hangs out and maybe fights alongside you, I would really like that. I don't actually have too much else to say. I mean, this was a very simple trailer. It was only a minute something, so there's not too much to go off of. I'm really happy though. I really am. And I might not seem like, whoa, like crazy ecstatic, but it's just because that's how I am. I'm very like just kind of simple, and like me talking about something for a long time is basically me just like, and also I think I've thought about this a lot today, and I've written tons of thoughts down, and I've been very vocal about specific thoughts with like my friends and stuff like that. So I think maybe that's part of the reason why I'm maybe not like bouncing off the wall and being like, "What, this and then this and then this and then this," you know. It's such an interesting thing. I've heard that they are approaching this as a good jumping on point. So this isn't necessarily Spyro 4. This will more so be like Spyro as a new thing, you know, which is totally fine, by the way. I want to say that, like, that's totally fine. So again, Spyro's not a deep franchise. It's very simple. So I don't care that, like, you're not doing, like, I would hopefully like to see characters. I will say, the game is called A Realm Beyond, which I'm a little like, what the hell does that even mean? Also, they say that this is a new realm. I mean, I guess Spyro can just go to different worlds through portals and stuff like that. So I guess it's not that unbelievable to say, like, this is a different world. But I really hope that they bring in some old returning characters. Maybe just for cameos, but like, please, give me Laura, give me Hunter. If Ripto's in this game in any way, or if he's mentioned, I will just be happy. Or if there's a picture of him on a wall or something, yeah. I'm actually already imagining, this game might also be open world. It's hard to tell, but I don't love open world games. It's not my go-to game for me. I'm much more a fan of like, just like level to level stuff like the original Spyro. But I don't mind it, because Spyro's never really been open world. I think maybe, again, the Elijah Wood trilogy game, at least the third one, I think maybe slightly open world. I don't remember. I don't think so. But this might be actually open world, and I'm okay with that, because again, Spyro hasn't really done that yet. There hasn't been a Spyro open world game, and that is just an interesting concept that you can really work with. I kind of imagine it working a little bit like Sonic Frontiers, where it's kind of like there's just collectibles everywhere, and you just get to run around fun Spyro levels. And fly around, you know, and really explore these areas. That's how you also get from place to place faster, which makes sense. So I don't know, maybe that's the experience, but I'm not certain. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if it's an open world game. I have no idea. I'm just spitballing because, again, we have literally like 7 seconds of gameplay to work off of, so I truly can't like say anything's definitive. So yeah, that is it for now, I think. There's nothing that's really coming else to mind. again, words can't really describe just how happy I am right now. Like, again, look how happy I am, right? No, but seriously, like, it's been swirling around my head all day. I've just been constant, like, it's all I can think about, and wasn't on my bingo card. I was not expecting Spyro trailer in 20... If you told me that we were gonna get a new Spyro game teased in 2026, I would have been like, you're joking. And then if you told me that we're getting a new Spyro game in 2027, I'd be like, that's fiction. That's not reality. Spyro's had it rough. You know, he hasn't getting the most love. He barely gets any merch. You know, he doesn't have it as hard as other game mascots. There are some who really have it rough. But I think Toys for Bob really clearly do give a shit about Spyro, and they clearly want to make the next Spyro game. They want to do something fun. They don't just want to, you know, Reignited is great. I really love Reignited, obviously because it's just the original trilogy, but upscaled and looks great, and I love the style, and I like the gameplay a lot. Something new will always be appreciated, and I have to say I am just like really looking forward to seeing what they're doing. I'm gonna maybe try to make as many follow-ups as possible, and I'm gonna try to keep it like I'm trying to generally talk about this game, and when it comes out, I'm definitely streaming it. Absolutely. I kind of blew my shot with Reignited when that came out. I think I streamed it kind of, but I think my first time playing it. I also probably won't be watching like every gameplay snippet. Like Reignited, I was literally watching everything, and like they did this and they did this, and then when gameplay came out, I watched, like, I was really into it. I'm probably not going to do that this time. I'm probably mostly gonna go in blind for the most part. I'll watch the trailers, and then if people start dropping like the first 15 minutes of gameplay, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm just gonna avoid it and go in blind, and Spyro will be back. I can't believe it. I cannot believe Spyro's back. It's such a weird thing to say out loud. It doesn't feel real. Genuinely, I am living in a dream world. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, it's not gonna be happening anymore. But something tells me that's not the case. Something tells me our purple boy is here to stay, just for now, just for the time being. Maybe not, maybe it's not permanent, maybe this is just a one and done, but hell, I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna complain about him getting another chance to shine.